Hi guys, this is Moe Nawaz once more with lead generation for you and prospecting. So today I'm going to be talking about how many different channels there are for you to use for prospecting and for lead generation. Okay, so I'm going to keep it short and brief and get to it. Okay, most of you, I'm sure, are using a single channel, 2 channels, maybe 3 channels at the best to try and generate leads from, but the majority of you, I guarantee you, are using a single channel. So let's run through this pretty rapidly without the fluff, without anything else, so we can get down to learning. First of all, let's look at the websites. So what is the purpose of your website? The purpose of your website is to generate more leads for you, qualified leads if possible. Now, most people really on their website, whether you are bringing in traffic through paid traffic or through search engine optimization or links from other portals that you're using at the current moment, I'm willing to bet you that you haven't got a mechanism in there to get your prospects who are on that website of yours to a page that you're directing them to, where you can actually give them a report or a white paper or some more information in order to capture their name, email address, so you can start to warm those prospects up for future pipeline. Now, majority of the people get approximately, and this is so important, they get approximately 1% of their conversion. So if you brought in 100 people on your website, or you've paid for traffic to bring in 100 people on your website, I'm willing to bet you that the figure is around the 1%. In a lot of cases, it might even be below the 1%, but to a maximum, I'm prepared to say to a maximum of 3% if you're very fortunate, that will either pick up the telephone to phone you or fill in a form or your call to action. But if you was to create some form of a funnel for them to fill in exchange for something that is of value to them as a lead magnet, they will happily give you their email address and their name in exchange for that report or white paper or book or something that is of value and relevant to them. For that, you will most likely take your rate up from that mere 1% to anything over 10 to 30%. I have even seen some professional people who are very good copywriters to increase the rate in excess of 50%, but that's a rarity. Majority of the people will experience 10% plus of the people filling in the form, so therefore you can start prospecting to them and turning them into warm leads for the future. So your website is one. The next thing is phone calls. First, you need to get a targeted list to understand who your prospects are. So you need to be able to say, okay, these are my target audiences. You either qualify them by industry, or you qualify them by the size of the organization and how many employees they employ, or you qualify them by the turnover. There are a number of other ways that you can narrow that down to your ideal prospect for yourself. Then have a strategy in place that you can actually then start generating those telephone calls. Increase your marketing database will also increase the more calls that you can make on that. But you must first of all understand who your prospects are. If you haven't got clarity on that and you start hammering away on the phone, all you're going to end up is burning through that list every single day. And the same principle applies as on the website. You are going to be getting on average between 1 and 3% of the low-hanging fruit that will put their hand up and say, yes, I'm interested in buying your product today or your service today. So if you want to get the rest of that 7% and the further 30%, then you really need to be offering a 2-step process, 3-step process, 4-step process on the telephone, rather than a yes or a no. The old scenario when Bush said when US was going to war against Iraq, you're either with us or you're against us. And the same scenario, if you're on the phone, you can't expect the client to say yes or no. And in most cases, when they say no, they don't really mean no. What they're saying is they don't know enough about you, your product, your service, to make a decision. Next thing is we move on to emails. So like I said, from your website, if you can capture their emails, you can even capture their emails when you're speaking to them on the telephone and add them to your database. And that way you can frequently, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, send out emails to your prospects with content that is relevant and that is important for them to know. But you must send out at least 6-7 pieces of content before you make an offer. You need to build your trust and your credibility with that list before you start trying to sell them something. Next is branding. How do you get your brand out there? How do you get your messages out there? Is it through advertising, through sponsorship, through print, through broadcast? Well, what is it? What sort of different methods are you using for getting your brand out there, getting your brand known and your message out there consistently so people understand what your brand is about, what product or service that you provide or expertise that you provide? And then referral. Look at referral. Most people, you know, being a typical sort of thing, well, you know, I've served that customer, I don't want to disturb them, I don't really want to ask them for a referral. So again, if you've provided a good service or a good product to somebody, there isn't a reason why you can't follow up through an email, through a phone call, or through a personal connection, depends on the value of his contact to you, to ask for a referral. Okay? Look, you know the old saying, we all flock around with very, very similar sort of people. We all mix in our own circles. So if somebody's bought something, the likelihood that the rest of your circle wants to buy a similar product or service is fairly high. So if we can get that information from the referrals, even the better, because that really is a warm lead for yourselves. So again, everybody has access to friends, potential alliances, current partners, vendors, current partners, and potential alliances again. So let's move on to direct mail. Now this is something that Drayton, my friend, good friend Drayton Bird, who's the world's authority on direct marketing, insists that you should have as part of your prospecting, your lead generation and your conversion strategy in order to qualify more people, to get more people opting in for your product and your service. So part of that, you need to understand direct mail, and you need to understand what self-mailers are, postcodes, dimensional mail, and personalized letters, handwritten or handwritten envelopes, in order to get more people to open up the messages. Events. Do you attend seminars, workshops, webinars, teleseminars, conferences, trade shows? Now, what are you doing at those? Again, are you collecting enough information? You're collecting business cards to put people into a funnel of some form or other, or do you just collect the cards and just, that's it, leave them on the side and not do anything, not connect with them? Once you've got their cards, do you then send them a letter out to say thank you for meeting? And you know, what is it that you're doing to touch base with them again, second day, third day, fourth day after your meeting? Can you send them an email out to remind them who you were, what you were, and then try and meet up at another date, either a telephone call or a meet up over coffee, to build those deeper relations? Most people in prospecting aren't prepared to build deeper relations, and what they're prepared to do is build more relationships but not enough depth. And if you don't build enough depth, you're not going to get those relationships any deeper. Then there is the nurturing sort of sides of it. So what are you doing to nurture those? Once you've gotten in your funnel, you know, you need to be inviting them over to events by sending direct mail out, mail, phone calls. So if you've got seminars or workshops running, you need to be nurturing these people by sending them out newsletters, press releases, emails and links, case studies, articles, white papers, special reports, articles of interest to that particular person, those particular industries. Once you start to send that information out, and I don't mean overwhelming information, information that is relevant and of value to your prospects, you have a higher chance of them taking phone calls from you and agreeing to meet up than if you didn't build up that trust or that credibility with them in the first place. The whole purpose of excuse me, the whole purpose of that lead generation is to build up trust and credibility before you ask for the sale. So if you can build up that trust and credibility, you're halfway there. Okay, this is Moe Nawaz, and you know, signing off, and I hope that you will take on board this information that I'm sharing with you from the different channels that you can be using. There's more than what I've showed you on there. There are other ways in addition to that, which I'll probably go into another day. But for this moment in time, please try looking at adding another channel to your services. Bye. Goodbye.